Hello and welcome to Illuminations with Tiina and Fee, for you who desires a life of abundance. I'm Tiina.
I'm Fee.
Fee, it's really lovely to have you here again. It's been a while. We've had guests, and a bit of a break. But here we are, you and me.
We are.
Yes. And we've got a lovely topic. I'll turn my eyes and actually look at you. Lovely topic. We're continuing with the theme of joy and joyful living. And I thought I'd be a little bit cheeky and go, well, I've been talking to the guests now about joy, and I'll just throw the ball to you and kind of go, what is joy?
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So this is an interesting theme to think about and prepare for. I have quite my own belief and understanding around this, which I do accept as a belief. So I'm going to own up right at the start here. This is not a truth. This is my truth. So joy is something that has evaded me, I think, quite a lot of my life. And I'm now beginning to have experiences of joy. So for me, joy is a state. It is a state. I think, Liz talked about it as well. For me, it's a way of being, and I love that her resting state. And it's slightly different to happiness, which if we get time to talk about, we will. For me, happiness comes from actions, just like kindness, the outcomes of kindness. For me, joy is something deep in me, and I get it now. I experience it when I get these moments and I go, wow, this is joy. This is joy. It's really cool.
Delicious.
Delicious is a lovely word, yes. Now, I believe for me it's taken a while to get here because very much my cultural belief, and I apologise to any of my family watching this, but I've worked through this quite a lot, and you know what I'm going to say. My cultural belief is very much about life has to be hard work. So I've had to really manage that hard work driver, and there is an underlying kind of very unsaid, subconscious, passed on, that it's also drudgery, and so when I started to explore being in joy, I realised that for me, I had to do a more gradual approach to it. I love Liz's way of doing it, and this is my belief, because what happened every time I got very near joy, and it can still kick off, is I can self-sabotage because it's like I don't have a right to be in that place of joy. So for me, as you know, I've gradually built up. So about 4 years ago, I went from my desired state to be inner peace. And I would suggest I now live 80% in inner peace most of the time. I then have gone for satisfied, because I live very much if only, but maybe, if that. And so there was always an if or a but. And so that's where I am at the moment. And then I'm kind of moving into, desired state of joy. And I totally understand, Liz, that you can be in joy. Like I know now I can be in inner peace, but still be with difficulties and challenging emotional states. So for me, it's been gradual, because I've had to kind of weave around this very, very strong belief that actually, did I really believe I deserved a life of joy? So that's been one of my mantras. I have a right to a life of joy. And I've been very careful building to that, because as we know, the old brain is a very keen detective, Madame Poirot in there. And if it sniffs it out, it does give me quite a hard time. So gradual for me.
Yeah. Isn't that then really important? Like, if somebody says, I'd like to increasingly live in a state of joy, to be accepting and humble in the starting point. So if you take you and Liz, you have different starting points.
Yes.
And so for Liz, it I don't know, but it might come easier, or her strategy works for her. And while we can look at others and kind of go, oh, that's interesting, maybe I can do that, or I don't know if that works for me. And it's like just
Mm.
kind of testing it out and
Mm.
accepting that, well, maybe my journey is longer, and maybe that's the journey I need to take towards
Mm.
joy, or whatever the emotional state is that we would like to invite in more.
Yeah. And actually, Liz was part of my getting here, because I went and had some work with her. We did some quantum healing, and that was focused around, you know, coming back to simplicity and coming into life can be simple, which was part of the inner peace and satisfied. So she's been bizarrely part of me being able to be here. But you're right. I think do you know what? I think it might be how much that belief I have a right to a life of joy is. So if you maybe get someone or ask yourself genuinely to sit there and really come into your body and ask that question, you know, how much do I have a right to a life of joy? And just see what the response is. That might be an indicator. So for me, it was, you know, I had on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 really believing it, my belief around that was quite low. So I had to let go of a lot of stuff to allow the joy to take its space inside me, which is happening, as I say, more and more. It's lovely, you know, just in my flat, and just wells up, you know, and it's just it's delicious. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah.
Do you think that sometimes we can be in joy and then take us out of it because we see that somebody else isn't, and therefore why should I be this? I mean, you know, oh, this is almost embarrassing. I'm in joy. I'm feeling so good in my life at the moment. Like there's this, and oh gosh, they are not. Therefore, I need to bring myself down.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. And as you know, my journey has been a lot around grief and loss. And that I know was with my mum after mum died, that was the challenge, you know. And then even before that, when my dad died and my mum was on her own, you're right, that did come into it. I think you're bang on the money there. It did create that tension, you know. I would be joyous and then kind of go, you know, mum's on her own, you know. So yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's an interesting one. So I wonder if there's some essence around some being with joy, and maybe as you know, you and I have both been really developing our empathy. Maybe as my empathy has got better, rather than trying to fix and rescue and sympathise. Maybe that's allowing me to be more in joy and empathise. You know, maybe that is coming together as well, because they're old jigsaws, aren't these?
Of course. Yeah.
So maybe that has helped. Do you find that with joy, that when you get into joy, that there's kind of a bother around people who may not be, or?
I don't know. I don't actually think so that much at the moment. I think what I have learned in the last couple of weeks or a month is to be okay with being in joy, even if it's fleeting.
Yes.
So for me, as you know, I've had a bit of a challenging time lately, and there's been moments of maybe not total joy, but satisfaction, and kind of feeling, okay, this is good. This is good now. And instead of embracing that moment, fleeting moment, 5 minutes, half an hour, whatever it is, worrying about the next time I'm not. So therefore ruining that space of being there. And that's, of course, being mindful and in the moment, and like, this is real right now. It doesn't matter if in 3 seconds it's something else. But right now I can allow myself to be.
Allow myself. I think you're right. I think it is about allowing ourselves, you know. Brené Brown, doesn't she? She talks about foreboding joy, you know, that when everything's going well, there is that kind of negative bias or catastrophizing in my case that can kick off going, yeah, but. So satisfied, you see, is a good place. You can see why that's a good place for me to really invite myself to be in, because yes, it allows me more and more to go, yeah, this is it, and this is good, you know, and no buts.
And no buts. Yeah. Right, we are out of time. Actually, that's a lovely place to end it. And I think we're actually on 10 minutes.
Hey.
Oh, celebration. What was I going to say? I want to throw out a question, a closed question, if I'm allowed as a trained coach to ask a closed question. Do you allow yourself joy? That's I won't even ask you, Fee. I'm just going to throw it out there. Do you allow yourself joy, or to be in joy?
To be in joy, yeah.
Right. Got one more episode coming up about joy. Explore it a little bit more. Thank you, Fee.
Thank you, Tiina.
Thank you for you who's been watching. Let us know about your relationship to joy. If you've connected with anything that we're saying, just comment below and thumbs up if you like it, and all that jazz. So, good. We'll see you next time. Bye now.
Bye now.